Welcome to Your Vote Counts, a candidate forum sponsored by Capital Community TV and the League of Women Voters of Marion and Polk counties. My name is Diana Bodker, and I am a member of the League of Women Voters, a nonpartisan political organization that works to educate ourselves and the public about government issues and civic responsibilities. In this program, we will present the candidates for Marion County Commissioner, Position 1. They are alphabetically Kevin Cameron and Shelliswa Crier. Our format for this forum is as follows. Each candidate has 3 minutes to give an opening statement outlining their background, qualifications, and top priorities if elected. Following that, each candidate will be given 1.5 minutes to answer questions that have been prepared by League members on current issues. The candidates were not given the questions ahead of time. At the end, the candidates will have 2 minutes to make a closing statement in which to state the legacy they would like to leave if elected to that office. Seating was not designated and question-response order will rotate. We will begin with Mr. Cameron as candidate A for his opening remarks.
Well, thank you, Diana, and thank you to the League for having us here and participating in this process. I've served the last 4 years as your Marion County Commissioner, and I'm honored to serve as your Marion County Commissioner. My background is such that I've been in the hospitality industry and started my own business about 23 years ago, and continue to have one foot in the business world as well as one foot in public servant, public policy. So some of the accomplishments that we have made over the last 4 years in Marion County include a real focus on the rural areas of Marion County. We've worked in the North Santiam River Canyon on economic development. We have helped with the Little North Fork, improving the recreation areas and the safety areas for those citizens up there. Detroit Lake Marinas, we've helped them with their resiliency in the low water years and getting them grants and helping them to strengthen their economic stability there. Water quality and fire restoration up in the canyon, restoring a fish population up in the canyon has been important. And in North Marion County, in the rural area, we've added police and our sheriff patrols to help with the public safety area up there. We formed a OSU Extension Service District and a Homeless Initiative Task Force. We still have a lot to do, but I really am excited about continuing to serve as your Marion County Commissioner. It's good to be here with you today.
Ms. Crier.
So I also want to thank the League of Women Voters as well as CCTV for putting all of this together. It's these types of forums that are essential for an informed populace and a continuing healthy democracy. So my name is Shelliswa Crier. I have a bachelor's degree in mathematics and a law degree from Yale Law School. I live here in Salem with my husband, Colas Crier, of 24 years, and the 2 youngest of our 5 children. I practiced law for a little bit after law school. I worked for a federal judge, but I'm a teacher, so I returned to teaching. I used to teach public school, middle school math initially. And so I taught at Loyola New Orleans for a little while, but then came over here, which is how I got to Oregon, was teaching at Willamette. And so after I taught Willamette for several years, and currently I am an educational consultant. I give workshops on communicating across differences, particularly because right now our country seems to be extremely polarized, and I think those conversations are very important. I also do educational consulting work in the area of civil rights for the Department of Education, and I'm a brand new legal instructor for the Basic Police Academy at the Department of Public Safety Standards and Training. I have always been a community servant and a community activist. I served as the vice president of the Salem-Keizer NAACP, and I've also served on a variety of advisory committees for the state, particularly the Department of Education and the Oregon Youth Authority. I've walked across the county over the course of this campaign and spoken to people in Aurora, Donald, Keizer, Salem, and even out in Mill City and Turner. And the top issues that I've seen facing Marion County are affordable housing and homelessness, as well as health care. So I really want to work with local governments and area community organizations to increase the amount of affordable housing when we have working families that are becoming homeless and seniors who are also afraid of becoming homeless as rent increases, but their income stays the same. It is essential that we have more affordable housing. I also want to increase the accessibility of the health services that Marion County provides. So the county provides physical health, mental health, and substance abuse treatment. Finally, as a public school teacher and a longtime policy advisor, I've learned that the most effective policy is created by the voices of two people: those people who are affected by the policy and those who are on the ground doing the work in the trenches on a day-to-day basis. Those are people I've been talking to and the ones I will continue to reach out to as we search for solutions to the issues facing Marion County.
All right, thank you. Ms. Grier, you'll have the first question. How would you strengthen the county's working relationships with surrounding jurisdictions on issues such as transportation, policing, and social services?
Transportation, policing, and social services. One, I think it's essential. Well, the county already serves, and the commissioners have positions on various committees already, and I think that is, an essential piece. So having a position on the SCAT, the Transportation Advisory Committee. And then, so I think that we need to work towards a county-wide transportation system, and if not, not necessarily run by the county, but that the connections are there so that we can provide that transportation. And so I think working with the transportation organizations as well as, the individual cities to find out what the needs are of those communities. Similarly with policing, not just talking to city councilors, but also to the various communities. And so I think overall, those are the pieces, is meeting with those heads of government, particularly also not just the managers of these governments, but also the elected representatives, as well as the community-based organizations who are providing a number of social services throughout our community, but also reaching out to community groups and talking with the individuals in areas that would be affected by these policies.
Mr. Cameron.
Thank you, Diana. And so there's three questions here. First, the transportation question. We do have a SCATS transportation committee that looks at the region as a whole. We participate within this particular metro area with Kaiser and Salem and Marion County. We have a transportation department that is out on rural country roads, farm to market roads, and that's really important. Our roads, we have about $7 million more a year since the last transportation package was passed by the legislature. We thank them for that. It's helping us to get our roads built up. On the police side, our Public Safety Coordinating Council, which I co-chair with Commissioner Carlson, has all the way from nonprofits to minority to the police department, Chief Moore, and we work together on projects such as the LEAD program that we're implementing right now in downtown Salem to help people stay out of jail and get them the mental health care and the drug addiction treatment that they need with our DA and others that work together. And then on the social side, the social services side, obviously our health department is now renamed Health and Human Services because we recognized, one of the things I recognized is we're not just health, we are doing social work. And so we coordinate with, for example, with Polk County, because you go to West Salem, Polk County West Salem is in Polk County. We've had a regional jurisdiction where we're working together. And then our health department participates in the public safety issues and our economic development issues with the health department as well. So there's a lot of overlap that we work on.
Thank you. Mr. Cameron, what do you see as the county's major needs and goals?
Well, I think we've been talking about some of that. The homelessness issue, it's not just downtown Salem, as people that are probably watching this. It is a countywide, statewide, countrywide issue. And I think the basis of that is affordable housing. But there's also, if you talk to our sheriff, some of the public safety issues are mental health, and addiction. And so getting people affordable housing is one thing, but having the wraparound services, such as the project that just opened on Portland Road, where people can live there with affordable rents, but they also have wraparound services to help their children with education, to help them with their education, their finances, if they have addiction problems or need counseling. So we have to have the social services and the housing land use issues to be able to do that. Some of the other challenges that we have in front of us are going to be continuing the economic development growth. As we have growth in Marion County, the Mill Creek industrial complex is starting to fill up. Where are those places going to be? And we've identified, such as the highway corridor up 99 as a potential agricultural manufacturing corridor that we would encourage agricultural manufacturing to build there. Our transportation system, the Aurora interchange, the Brooks interchange, failed interchanges that we have to work with. And you only get those things done when you work with other jurisdictions such as ODOT and community leaders in those places and the citizens that live there.
All right. Ms. Grier.
So, yes, I mean, I echo a lot of those things. Clearly, affordable housing is one of the major needs facing our county right now. And I think when we're looking at that, we need to look at ways to increase the availability of affordable housing. If there are incentives that the county can utilize to attract developers, and specifically, development for affordable housing, looking at codes to the extent that those are issued, and zoning, to see if there are ways that those things can be changed if necessary to further help increase the availability of affordable housing. Similarly with health care, particularly mental health care and substance abuse treatment. The Salem Kaiser, actually it was the Statesman Journal, put out an article back in March that almost 25% of Salem Kaiser students are dealing with some sort of health issue, mental health issue. And being as those are services that Marion County provides, I think those are areas that we can really look to step up and increase the accessibility of those services, working with the school districts where necessary, but also making sure that we're affording the accessibility to health services outside of Salem. That's one of the things that I've heard as I've been walking around, is that a lot of our services are so centered here.
Thank you. Ms. Grier, what role should the county take in pursuing limitations on single-use plastics and styrofoam, such as plastic bags and takeout containers?
So, I think that, well, one, the county does waste management and already has, a pretty robust recycling program as well as a recycling education program. And I think when we're looking at reducing the use of plastic, it's the education piece that will be first and foremost. So educating the community, but also seeing what we can do in terms of working with businesses as well to reduce the use of single-use containers and see if we can move towards more selling in bulk, more use of reusable containers.
Mr. Cameron.
Well, that's a great question, because I think one thing is it starts with each one of us as citizens, and one of the first things I did when I got here as a county commissioner is I went and took the master recycling class. And I think it's really important to remember to reduce first, to reuse, and then to recycle. I've got my reusable bags in the trunk of my car, and I use them personally every time I try to remember to take them into the store. Sometimes I go in and have to come back. But on a broader scale, the plastics in our system are really a problem. Plastic bags in our system cause problems. And we just had this discussion recently about if we remove plastic bags, hopefully voluntarily more than doing it as a government, that it would improve the recyclability, the efficiency of our recycling, our MRF, and those things that really try to get as much out of our waste system. One of the things I'll say about our waste system is we generate enough electricity at our waste to energy facility to power the city of Woodburn. We have one of the best environmental services programs through education and also through the things that we actually do. Right now, we all know it's a struggle because of what's happened overseas and China saying, hey, clean up your act. That's not just Marion County. That's worldwide as well as the whole state. So we're working on that. It's a struggle, but it's bringing everybody together and educating them as to what you can and cannot recycle and how to help us be more efficient, to keep rates down as well as to be good environmental people.
Thank you. Mr. Cameron, how can the county better coordinate county planning of infrastructure development to enhance the livability of our communities?
That's a really good, timely question. We just are adopting an economic development strategic plan, and one of the top initiative is we don't want to ever forget our agricultural heritage here in Marion County. We are the top producing agricultural county in the state of Oregon by far. And we want to preserve that because we're going to have to feed not only ourselves, but the rest of the state and the rest of the country and the rest of the world through that. What we need to do, though, is planning for smart growth, is we want to make sure where do we have the property that can come and be developed. As I mentioned earlier, this area, this corridor, if you look at the 99 corridor between Woodburn and Brooks, for example, that's an area that has not had good planning in the past, that we need to go in there with our partners and say, hey, what can we put in here that will help with our agricultural heritage? And quality of life issues are extremely important. That's in our economic development strategic plan, because workforce in the future, today, everywhere you go, and I'm sure Shaliswan hears this too, I need workers, and I need skilled workers. So having a quality of life issue and an education system that takes youth and teaches them trade and skills, which we have here, Salem-Keizer School District with the CTE, and I serve on that advisory board. So you put all those things together, it's going to take us a long time, but we can have a quality of life and we can have smart growth in Marion County and maintain that.
All right, Ms. Grier.
So this is a really wonderful question, because we are definitely facing growth here in Marion County, and I feel like sometimes it feels like we're kind of scrambling to keep up with that. And so what I really like to see in terms of infrastructure development is very purposeful, collaborative planning, and so which includes, like I said before, not just working with the various levels of government, but also really paying attention. So Commissioner Cameron mentioned some of the things that the Brooks overpass, I believe, and Aurora, that are kind of transportation issues. From my conversations with people that live in those areas, they repeatedly spoke to government about those things while it was being discussed, and their voices were ignored as to how the traffic would flow, and the traffic flowed the way they said it would, and that resulted in increased accidents. And so when we're looking at this infrastructure development, I think it is definitely imperative that we preserve agricultural areas, particularly when we're looking at global warming, and that when we do so, that we're talking to people in those particular areas about each of those things.
All right, thank you. Ms. Grier, how would you address revenue sources in order to better deal with mental health and homeless issues?
So, one, I would like to, my daughter and I went to a suicide prevention conference earlier this year and learned about federal grants that were funneled through the state that a number of other counties and even universities had. And so looking for and applying for grants such as that, would definitely be one of the things that I really want in that cache of resources. In addition, I want to look to strengthen, we've already started down this path, but want to strengthen our community coalitions and multi-county coalitions. These are my conversations with other government leaders and with other community-based organizations, for example, in Eugene, when we're talking on homelessness. What I've learned from them was that it's these very specific, kind of far-reaching plans that are collaborative that have greater chances of success in terms of actually getting grant funds. Beyond that, I really want to look at, and again, we've started on the right path, but eliminating silos so that we are efficiently using all of our resources. And when I say that, I don't mean just the money in Marion County's budget, but the resources of the community-based organizations and the public-private partnerships that can be built here.
All right, Mr. Cameron.
Well, it's a great question. Goes back to my last economic development. The revenues to the county, our general fund revenues, come from property taxes. And having investment in Marion County in infrastructure, businesses, manufacturing will create a revenue base that helps us supply those services. However, the general fund budget is about 25% of our all funds budget, which is over $400 million now. And so we rely on state resources and we rely on federal resources for that. And the future is unsure about those. Every year they're coming up, the legislature does different things and takes and sometimes gives, but most of the time takes away. Who knows what's going to happen with the federal government? So we need to really work to try to be self-sufficient. We can get grants, but typically when you start a program with a grant, you have to figure out how to sustain that. So I think it's really important that we continue to focus on good, strong growth, because that is our revenue, which creates property tax revenue for the county, as well as jobs that goes into the state resources. One of the things that I want to go back to is quality of life, and we were talking about infrastructure, and I forgot to mention this, the third bridge that I voted on a land use issue to make sure that bridge was moved forward, and right now it's being stalled here. And I think those are the types of things that if you talk to most citizens in the city, whether they live in West Salem or in Salem, and the people from the region, we need to find a way to move traffic, freight traffic and citizens across the Willamette River.
Thank you. All right, Ms. Cryer, your closing comments?
So I guess the closing comment was also on kind of the legacy that we'd want to leave. As County Commissioner, the legacy that I would want to leave is effective and purposeful planning through inclusion of the diverse voices of our community. One of the reasons that I chose to run for County Commissioner was because the only woman on our Board of Commissions was stepping down. And I thought it was essential that we have a woman's voice on the Board of Commissions. And so on all of my materials, my motto is building community together. And I think we can face these issues of affordable housing and growth by utilizing the goodwill and the knowledge and information of the people right here in Marion County.
All right, Mr. Cameron.
Diana, thank you again to the League and to yourself for hosting us today. I think the legacy that I've tried to build and will try to build is one of a convener, and one who obviously listens to all people and tries to bring people that maybe aren't even aware of some issues that are going on in their particular community, and trying to market that. And I know how busy people are in their day-to-day lives, working and trying to raise a family. And we've done some creative things, like had telephone town halls and try to do Facebook Live to communicate with people and have them send in their emails and their questions. And I'll continue to do that. And I think if you talk to the mayors that I work with, if you talk to the citizens that I work with in the outlying areas, that I'm always out there listening and trying to find out what their challenges are and take those back and say, okay, what resources do we have? How can we be creative? How can we knock down red tape to help these people get what they need to have productive lives? And I think one of the challenges we will continue to have in Marion County is that because we are a rich agricultural county, is that we deal a lot in commodities. And so we'll continue to work and see how we can add values to that. And if you look at the typical jobs that are being created today, they are jobs that are going to require high school students to be able to run a computer, whether it's in a lumber factory or in a manufacturing factory, or doing a unmanned vehicle to fly over a farm. There's a lot of challenges that we have ahead of us, and I think that we want to be able to, I want to be able to look back and say, yeah, I helped make some of those changes. I didn't do it, the people did it, and we just used their resources that they have through government to help them do it. So thank you.
All right, thank you. That is all the time we have. You have been watching Your Vote Counts, candidate interviews for Marion County Commissioner Position 1 with Mr. Kevin Cameron and Ms. Shilaswa Grier. We hope you will watch our other candidate forums, and please see CCTV website for times and dates. These programs are a public service to voters to become more acquainted with candidates who hope to lead our city, county, and state governments in the coming years. The last day to register to vote or make changes to your registration is October the 16th. Ballots will be mailed on October the 17th and should be returned by November the 6th at 8 p.m. Postmarks do not count. We urge you to make democracy work and be a voter. This is Diana Bodker for the League of Women Voters and CCTV, thanking you for watching Your Vote Counts.